Bienvenue dans la strange émission.
Hello les strange addicts. Nouvelle émission, strange émission. On se rend de nouveau chez Bryan pour une interview un peu spéciale, puisque nous avons rendez-vous avec Bryan Talbot, le dessinateur de Grandville. Voilà, donc là on se rend là-bas et je vous avoue que je suis un peu intimidé. Voilà. Bon, je vous laisse et je vous dis à tout de suite. Bye. Bonjour à tous, nouvelle édition de la strange émission. Nous sommes avec Bryan Talbot, donc le dessinateur de Grandville, un super recueil que je vous recommande chaudement. Et nous allons lui poser 2-3 questions sur justement son œuvre et puis aussi sur le comics en général. Sachant qu'il est très occupé, on va commencer tout de suite. First of all, I would like to thank you for this interview. I know you are very busy and it's quite a pleasure for me to be there with you. First of all, your latest piece of work, Grandville, had a tremendous impact here in France. He had a really good critics, and the fans of comics are really enthusiastic about it. I also noted it's very dark and political. Could you tell us why you, for example, introduce 9/11 and why you chose a place like Paris, and why France had such a big role in this graphic novel?
Right, I'll answer the second part first because the inspiration for the whole thing. I got the idea in a big flash of inspiration, and it was while I was looking at a book I've had for years of the French illustrator of the early 19th century, Jean-Ignace Isidore Gérard. He used to sign himself J.J. Grandville, that was his pen name, nom de plume.
Yes.
And I've had it for a while, this book, but this day I was just looking at it, I thought, well, Grandville, that could be the name of Paris in a parallel world where it's the greatest city in the world, it's the largest city in the world. Why is it the largest city in the world? It's the centre of a huge French empire, you know. Why is it a huge French empire? Napoleon won the Napoleonic Wars. And it also came in a flood, you know. I mean, for a while I wanted to do a detective story. I've never done a detective story. I thought, well, I can use this to do a detective story. But the idea was it's a Paris, steampunk Paris, populated by animals, because Grandville used to did a lot of cartoons, caricatures of animals wearing contemporary costume, and they were satirical, a lot of it. And I think the satirical thing was why I brought in the political stuff, partly. But partly because this is what writers do all the time. They refer to things that we share in common history. And as you said before, the 9/11 is a very powerful thing for people. You just have to refer to it, and it evokes powerful emotions. So that's what I was trying to do. I was using that. See, I'm hooking into a cultural thing. By just referring to it gives the story somehow extra depth, extra power. But I mean, having said that, you know, I'm not saying that there was an American conspiracy, you know, to do 9/11 as a propaganda thing. But it is true that the American and British government have been using Islamophobia as a
reason
tool
why
to curtail civil liberties. And it's also true, which I have a parallel in the story, that the British and American governments lied to the people about Iraq possessing weapons of mass destruction. They didn't. They'd have found them by now, I'm sure.
former prime minister at this point was has a lot of problem nowadays because of that.
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm making reference.
it's really
to
vibrant in the minds of the readers, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to hook into those feelings. You know, and, make a point. I've done this a few times in my comics in the past. The first graphic novel that I did, The Adventures of Luther Arkwright, which was the first British graphic novel. It started in 1978, serialised from then on. That was created, a lot of it, against the backdrop of the rise of the extreme right in Britain. You know, with the Thatcher government coming to power, and the rise of the National Front in Britain. And you had fascists marching on the streets, you know, and stuff. So that's why I had it as a very strong sort of anti-fascist thing in the story, you know. So I do like bringing in these.
It has a good signification, especially now for us French people, because of the elections that just occur here. We just saw the rise of the extreme right wing of the political parties in here. So your book makes us think about these situations, and just because of that, we thank you. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, if these first two books do well, I want to do a series, because I've never done a series of albums before.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
And the fourth one will be like a religious conspiracy thing, but it'll also be another sort of anti-fascist book.
It would be interesting. Let's go back to Grandville. You said it was in a steampunk universe and in an alternate reality. Obviously, you like the notion of multiverse, and you were one of the first to play with that thing, with that notion of multiverse. Do you think you can go tell a story even darker than Grandville, but in another universe?
Yeah, well, to some extent, that's what the Adventures of Luther Arkwright did. It was set in a universe in England which was still being ruled. The Civil War was still going on, the English Civil War, and it had been ruled for a few hundred years by a political fascist dictatorship.
Yes.
There's a lot of parallels with Hitler's Germany in it, so that was quite a dark thing. But yeah, that was parallel world story. But it was directly influenced by Michael Moorcock, the English writer, Mike Moorcock, who coined. I think he's one of the first ones who actually coined the phrase multiverse.